Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is December 21st, and right now we are looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. You can see the system out over the Gulf of Alaska and the Aleutian Islands. This is our next frontal system coming for the Pacific Northwest. Going to move through on the day Friday. Convergence zone activity possible with that, but we've got some persistent precipitation I mentioned yesterday. That's going to continue up until this frontal passage here. And then we turn our eyes back across the Pacific because we've got some atmospheric river potential here as we go through the post-Christmas period. And kind of sinister looking at times. We'll dive into those details, even a wind threat here as well. Taking a look at a closer view of things here, and you can see we've got some dense fog still out and about out there. Some of this mid and high level cloud activity is helping out. It was really dense across some of the Puget Sound yesterday. It was kind of building up on the trees and actually sounded like rain. So much water was in the atmosphere. Had some flights diverting across some of the airports here as well. Now taking a look here, today is the shortest day of the year, 8 hours, 25 minutes, and 25 seconds. Tomorrow we gain 1 second. So we start that slow climb back out of the darkness here in the Pacific Northwest. So hopefully we can, it's always fun to get on in towards January. We can tell that the days are definitely getting longer, but today is the shortest day of the year. The sun is setting at 4:20 p.m. Now taking a look at the European, this is last night's run. You got Washington, Oregon. There's the Hawaiian Islands. There's the storm off the coast of California. This is 1 day running total here for 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. And you can clearly see the Gulf of Alaska just gets churning. The storm train is going to be pointed at the west coast of North America, especially as we get in towards Christmas and a few days following. And you can really see this deep trough. Atmospheric river potential is definitely here for the Pacific Northwest. And if things line up right, we might spin a windstorm up at some point. Taking a look at the European last night. So this is that persistent precipitation occurring across British Columbia. Frontal system finally moves through the day on Friday. Convergent zone activity as we go through Friday night and wrapping up Saturday morning. And then the stronger storms start to arrive as we go through. This is about Christmas after late morning here and afternoon. Strong frontal system rolling in here with some atmospheric river potential behind that. GFS a little more bullish on the atmospheric river potential coming up here, but some nice amounts showing up on the European as well. Here's 100-meter wind speed. So again, kind of short-term stuff here. We're looking at what's coming Friday. Some gusty winds developing across the northwest interior. Maybe some 30, 35 mile per hour gusts across the Puget Sound. Frontal system moves through. Look at that wind shift back to the west, coming through this Chehalis Gap, Strait of Juan de Fuca. Convergent zone activity on the day Friday, enhancing some of the localized snowfall amounts across the Cascades, and some gusty winds up and down the east slopes of the Cascades of Washington, Oregon, and eastern Washington as we go on in through Saturday morning. Now, taking a look what the Doppler radar may look like over the next 48 hours. Some light precip actually clipping northwest Washington as we go through the morning hours today, kind of lifting north, and then that system comes rolling on in here, and you can see that really coming on shore Friday morning. Interesting convergent zone signature here starts showing up as we go on into the late morning and early afternoon hours, at least according to the high resolution. And this kind of continues on in through Friday evening here, all the way on in through Friday night. So probably going to get some locally high amounts of snowfall, maybe Stampede, Snoqualmie, or in between, or Stevens Pass here. So yeah, we'll definitely take it here, maybe help out the ski areas a little bit. This is looking at 24-hour snow total on the North American model. And this is the herd. This is the 1 hour snowfall totals here. So you can see the snow piling up on the North American model, but you can always also see the convergent zone kind of highlighted here across the Central Cascades as we go through tomorrow evening into tomorrow night, before it eventually tapers off as we go into Saturday morning. But hopefully that can drop some snowfall for either Stevens or Snoqualmie, or maybe even both, in addition to what's showing up here on the North American model. Now, taking a look at the GFS, this is hot off the presses. 24-hour precipitation totals in inches, and you can see that persistent precipitation across Vancouver Island, western BC, all the way in through tomorrow morning. Some pretty big amounts. So some huge amounts coming over the next few weeks for some of western BC here, but western Washington might be included at times as well, and maybe even portions of Oregon. So let's scroll out here. We're going through Christmas Eve. Weak system moves through here, and then the stronger atmospheric river starts to arrive here as we go through the day Christmas, according to the GFS. And look at some of these precipitation amounts. You're getting up towards 2 inches here for Seattle. Bigger amounts across the Cascades, Olympics, and Vancouver Island. And again, this is a running 24-hour total here, and a clipping northwest Oregon as well. And then additional systems potentially rolling through as we go on into the extended forecast. But pretty sinister atmospheric river looks like it's shaping up here on the GFS. This would cause some concerns for flooding here. So we're going to be watching this closely over the next couple of days. The European doesn't fully agree with this just yet, but I want to show you the precipitable water. You got the Hawaiian Islands to the bottom left here. There's Washington State. Here goes our frontal system on the day Friday. You see it swinging through, and then you can see we get a tiny bit of a break here. Weak system arrives Christmas Eve, and then that stronger atmospheric river starts rolling in here on Christmas. And look at that moisture fetch all the way back across the Pacific Ocean, north of Hawaii, almost a Pineapple Express looking thing there, but definitely an atmospheric river. So we'll be looking at that in a little bit more detail here as we go through tomorrow. I want to see what the European model runs bring today and see if they come into some kind of an agreement on what is coming there on Christmas Day and the day after. But looking at the precipitation amounts right now on last night's European run, you can see 0.4 of an inch with the initial frontal system here on the day Friday, and then that stronger storm out here. And you can see some higher amounts even showing up in some of the European ensembles as well, getting up towards 1.5 inches in a 24-hour period, some of them even higher, but of course, many of them much less. Here is the GFS, and you can see 1.8 in the control run and some big solutions in there as we go through the Christmas and the day after time period. Now, looking at the European, this is yesterday afternoon's 90th percentile here, so kind of a worst-case scenario as far as precipitation amounts up and down the west coast. And look at Vancouver Island, just some ridiculous amounts. Olympic Mountains also, nice amounts across the Cascades, and this would be right up to the end of the year. So this would be an additional 3 inches. It'll put us up towards 10 inches on the month of December for Seattle, for example, and some nice amounts across the Washington and Oregon coastline. And you can clearly see the rain shadowing effect across eastern BC, Washington, and Oregon. Looking at the windstorm potential, some blustery winds with that system on Friday, nothing too crazy, but some bigger solutions continue to show up around, maybe the 26th and 27th, but we'll continue to watch that right now. As you can see, these ensembles are still all over the place, not coming to much agreement just yet. And this is last night's run, so this is a little bit newer, and it shows in the Christmas night, early the next day, shows some gusts, picking up here across some of the area. So we'll watch that here over the next couple of days. Low confidence right now. Here's the 6 to 10 day precipitation probability outlook, still favoring the west coast through December 30th. And if we look at the wave action, I wanted to point this out because you can see the waves associated with the storm in California. But as this jet stream gets ripping in the Gulf of Alaska low, look at this wave action as we start to go in towards Christmas Eve here. It starts approaching western BC, southeast Alaska, just some monster waves out there. And look at this just continue as the Gulf of Alaska storm train pointed at the Pacific Northwest. Just some monster waves pointed at portions of the west coast here as we go into the post-Christmas period. So it was pretty incredible. And you can see it doesn't really come to an end here all the way out in the 10-day time frame across some of the Pacific Ocean. So yeah, it's going to be kind of crazy. I'll be out in Hawaii actually for a few days during this time frame as well. So maybe I'll get to view some big waves out there in the Hawaiian Islands. But yeah, pretty crazy stuff here. And this might coincide with some of the high tides, which can be pretty robust this time of year. So we have to watch out for some of that coastal flooding with those huge waves through the extended forecast. But anyway, yeah, here goes Friday's system there, and then our eyes will turn to that Pacific Northwest atmospheric river all the way back across the western Pacific here. So anyway, we'll check that out again tomorrow. I'll be waiting and watching closely with the European model. Let's see if it starts to agree with the GFS on that atmospheric river, because those are some big totals starting to show up here. Could be some flooding concerns associated. But anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.